All right, I've got like the nervous jitters. It's been a while since I've done a live stream. Thank you everybody who's joining us here live on HVAC School and also on Love to HVAC's various channels. We're really excited. We're going to be talking about Grit Foundation today, and I'm going to start by introducing everybody who's here with me today. I'm going to start with Rachir Shaw from SkillCat. I don't have like a full bio or anything on you, Rachir, but if you want to just do like a kind of quick 50,000 foot view intro of yourself.
Yeah, I'm Ruchir, the founder of SkillCat. So we're a training platform for the skilled trades, and we've trained about 300,000 people. So very passionate about bringing new people into the skilled trades.
Awesome. And then we have Ty Banana Man Brannaman here with us. A lot of you know Ty. Ty is an amazing educator in his own right, but I'll let you kind of give a quick bio of yourself there, Ty.
Oh, I'm just a tradesman that loves this trade and it's never stopped learning. And I'm also an educator. I love giving back to the community and helping people learn and grow. And that's why I'm here. This is all about helping people learn and grow and get people into the trades. And I just can't think of a better spot.
All right, I wouldn't have introduced you if I knew you were going to be so long-winded. And then and then Leilani Orr. She is somebody who I know pretty well. But yeah, introduce yourself, Leilani.
I'm Leilani Orr, Executive Director at Grit, and I'm the mother of Bryan's children. So that's first. But yeah, I've been immersed in the trades, via Bryan, and the industry has been just such a welcoming and amazing group of people. And I'm super excited to be part of this team to empower young people in the trades.
Yeah, Leilani's very good for my brand because the reality is that everything you see, if I seem nice on the internet, I'm actually a jerk in person. But she kind of fills in that gap when we get in front of people. So it's always
I like people.
She does authentically. Me, it's mostly every once in a while. But I am excited about the trades and trades education, and so that's what Grit's all about. So I'm gonna kind of ask some general questions. I'm gonna start with one kind of for everybody. Which is, why are we doing this? From kind of in your own words, from your own perspective. I'll wrap it up, but like, why Grit Foundation? What is it all about from kind of your own perspective? And I'll start with you, Rich here.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I think at a high level, our country's going through a lot of challenges, right? So if you look at a bunch of different angles, but if you look at non-college educated workers since the 1970s have just cut their income by almost 30%, while every other group in the country is actually making more money than they were 50 years ago. And the biggest reason for that is folks are moving away from the trades. The skilled trades are truly incredible jobs that make you a lot of money, give you a lot of incredible job satisfaction, and don't require a crazy amount of college debt. And not enough people know these jobs exist, and it's often too hard for people to get into these jobs. And so I think this is the biggest problem in our country today. Not enough people are talking about it, and that's not enough people are talking about it in general, but especially from some of the circles I run in tech and on the coasts, I feel like not enough people, period, are talking about it at all. And so I think through this organization, we have the opportunity to really dramatically increase awareness of how amazing skilled trade jobs are, and it'll help millions of people and also help our country just rebuild and promote a lot of the really great work we need to grow the country. So
Awesome. I like it. Ty.
Well, I love the trades. It's taking care of me when everything life tried to take everything from me. I had skills, and no matter what was taken from me, I could start over with my hands, and I could do something that made me feel good at the end of the day. Like when I fixed stuff and people relied on me and they said, "Hey, call Ty. He's going to take care of you." Man, it's a sense of satisfaction. And when I went to school, we didn't have a name for ADHD. It was just like, you're an idiot. We're gonna whip you into focus. And then I realized I just learned different. And the trades are great for, this label we put on people because it fits with us. So I don't know that it's so much as an illness as much as if you try to put me in an office setting every single day, then yeah, it would be a problem. But the trades are so good because I go to work and I feel accomplished every day. And then the more people that I help, and the more I learn. So for me, it was great. And then I wanted to share that to other people. I wanted people to know that You don't have to go to college. I have respect for people that go to college, be doctors and lawyers and everything, but that's not the only path for success. And I wanted other people to see, hey, you can be successful with this. And then I wanted to open up paths where more people could get into the trades. We removed some of those barriers. Look, maybe you don't have $20,000 to go to school for a for-profit trade school, that you may not have the skills you need afterwards anyways. So how can I get more paths to get people to learn and then also help people moving up? Because when I started, we just had the supply house training and then whatever books you could get your hands on, and that was it. Today we have a lot more access to information, and sometimes it kind of overloads people. So how do we organize this to where we can help people? And I'm all about like the skilled trades, all about helping people grow and learn and getting people into the trade and also showing respect to what we do. I hate that when people say, oh, well, you're just a laborer. And I'm like, oh, cool. Come ride with me for a day. Let's spend one day with me and let's see if it's just labor or if there's a lot of skill involved. And so I'm super excited to be able to spread this to other people, and not just for HVAC. I love HVAC, but I also have so much respect for my electricians. I may have some broom jokes, but I love electricians too, and bricklayers and all the other people in the trades, because we're what built this country. We're the ones that keep this country growing. And what a great career it is, and what better place to be able to help people lift up our trade and help people out. It's awesome.
Yeah, for sure. Leilani.
Yeah, grit. The trades have resonate with me in a way of perseverance and hard work that aligns with how I like to face my life and my challenges in my life. And I've seen firsthand with Bryan and the community around me, the fulfilling careers that it has been. And it's also been an outlet for, I've seen there's an outlet for creativity in the hands-on work, in the hard work, in the field, that somebody like Bryan, he's got this creative side that it's just been really cool to see how he's been able to flourish in that in the trades. And I'm just passionate about younger people being more open and excited for it as a good first option, to not have school debt, to not feel stuck in something that they're not really enjoying. And as a homeschool educator, and where I have that mindset too of us learning should be, it's very interest-based learning, and the trades is very interesting. And I think that everyone everywhere should know more about it and get into it.
Yeah, good stuff. I'll just tell a couple really quick stories because I'm a grandpa now, and that's what grandpas do. We just tell stories. all the time.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thanks. Leilani's a grandma too, isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Yeah. So one of the first stories that I've told many times is the advice my dad gave me when I was a teenager. He said, what you can do whatever you want with your life, but just start by learning a skill. And he didn't even specifically say a trade, but it was just something that you could actually do with your hands, something that you could apply in the world that you could take with you wherever you go. And he said, from there, if you want to go to college, you want to do anything else, that's great, but just learn how to do something. And that was really, really great advice. And I ended up just sticking with that because I enjoyed it so much. I mean, we kind of just thumbed through the trade school catalog, and it was like, HVAC, that sounds interesting. It's got a lot of science to it. It's got a lot of different skills applied, and I've never looked back. And just thinking about what a good decision that was, and how great it was that my dad gave me that advice, is very meaningful. Another kind of piece, so that's a thing that I want to do with grit. I want to give other young people that same advice because I think it's really good advice. It doesn't mean that you don't go to college. It's fine if you go to college, but also learn how to do something. And sometimes you learn that through your local high school shop class. Maybe it's jazz hands. It could be. You never know. It could be that. But there's a couple other big things. So last AHR in Chicago, I was really tired. It had been just crazy back to back. It's AHR is just this exhausting experience because it's so huge. Had a lot of fun, but I get burned out with social interaction after a while. And one of the last things that I had agreed to do was walk the floor with some high schoolers from Chicago. And so I got a chance to walk the floor with about 8 to 10 high schoolers, whatever it was, something in there. And these kids were started off, their phones, they kind of were doing this and they're kind of looking up, and they were sweet kids, but a little disengaged. And by the end of walking that floor and just introducing them to kind of how the world works, you saw them look up and just start to realize, oh, this is how all this stuff that I take for granted actually works. And by the end, we ended at the field piece booth, and they were like, Tony Gonzalez was showing them the core remover tool and the vacuum pumps and the meters, and they were all touching the tools and playing with them and super excited. Oh, you have a YouTube channel, let me subscribe. And just seeing them activate is one of the most rewarding things. Anybody who's ever taught anyone anything, but especially in the trades, when you're a kind of a hands-on person and you get to see somebody awaken to that, that's a really exciting thing.
Yeah.
And then the final story, and kind of another thing that really I want to do with Grit, is in my travels of speaking and doing different things, I interact with a lot of traditional trades events, and tradespeople tend to be a certain kind of type of person, and they have a certain type of life experience, right? Well, I also got a chance recently to go to Seattle and speak in front of a bunch of engineers and architects and contractors who are in the green building space. And anybody who knows anything about Seattle, Portland, kind of that West Coast and that sort of vibe, they're a very different group of people, very different set of life experiences, and they definitely lean a certain way politically. And I don't know if you can tell from this, but it's a certain way. And when they first heard that I was a guy from Florida with 10 kids, they kind of leaned away a little bit, like maybe I'm not that same type of human. But once we started talking about what we wanted to do together, how we wanted to improve infrastructure, how we wanted to improve buildings, how we wanted to make buildings last a long time and be comfortable and not waste energy and save resources for our children, everybody's kind of leaning in and on the same page. And what you realize is that in the doing of things, in the actual solving of problems in the real world, people are unified. These divisions that are created in society happen when we kind of lean back away and we're really more in our heads. We're being ideological rather than applying. And so much of what I want to do with Grit is applying things together and actually solving big problems through the doing, which is super exciting to me. So those are kind of three big things that sort of make up the three-legged stool of what I want to do with the Grit Foundation. Any of that resonate with you, Ty? I was watching you smiling really big.
Oh my gosh, it's like you know me. I got to jump in. I wasn't invited. I just included myself, and just seeing at the AHR with the young people going around, it was just like that was the highlight of my AHR, is seeing an entire generation of people get excited about it. And when Tony was showing them stuff, he didn't just show them stuff, he had them do it. And then they got to be involved with something. Oh my gosh, that was just made my day. I was re-energized. I was ready for a whole other show after that. It was awesome.
So Rashir, you've seen a lot in the ed tech space. I mean, a lot of people don't know this, but Rashir worked in sort of the oil and gas space before in educational technology, and so you've seen kind of trends. You've seen things change. So how do you see Grit shaping the future of the skilled trades? What part do you see us playing? Both in sort of the way that we create training, the way that we present training, but then also the way tradespeople are valued by society.
Mm-hmm. So I think there's two huge challenges, and the reason we have this massive skilled trade worker shortage. Number one, awareness, and number two, access. Right. So first of all, people just don't realize what skilled trade jobs are like, and a lot of people have so many misconceptions about them. Right. And so I think number one, Grit can exist to really show people how incredible the trades are. And they're just exceptional jobs. And I really connected to what you were saying, Bryan, about your experience in Seattle. I really feel like I straddle two worlds where I went to business school at Stanford. I've lived in California for a while and in New York for a while. I go on all these HVAC podcasts, and everyone always I can tell I'm being judged a little bit for that every time. But I think it gives me a really unique position where half my world is, a lot of folks who are a lot more folks who are more left, and then I think the other half is more right. It's a really two groups of people who don't talk to each other that much, and right, it's a lot of folks who are in office jobs and in tech jobs, and then a lot of folks who are working the skilled trades. And I think one of the goals here is how do you spread the word about the trades and all the meaningful work that's being done to folks on that other side. And so in addition to a lot of the events we're going to be hosting, we're hoping to bring in donors and partners and supporters from those circles, right? So folks, I mean, I talked to some folks at NYU about, doing some grit lab camps there. I've spoken to folks, a lot of friends who, are big in the tech community, want to donate money because they see that this can really help change lives and change people. And so I think from the awareness perspective, I think just spreading the word and getting all of these people who otherwise are so removed from the trades more engaged goes a really long way. So that's number one, is kind of awareness. And number two is access. And a lot of people who want to get into the trades just don't know how and just can't, right? So there's some really incredible trade schools out there, but a lot of people just can't afford, $10, $20, $30,000 or leaving the workforce for a couple years to get into the trades. Especially folks who are reskilling, they've been laid off from industries like manufacturing or coal. It's just really hard if you have a family to go leave the workforce and go to school for a while. So one of the other goals of GRID is to help increase access, make it a lot easier for folks with unconventional backgrounds, with families, who don't have as much money or as much opportunity to get into the skilled trades. And that way you solve their problem, you help a lot of people, but you also help solve this massive problem for the industry, which is this huge skilled trade worker shortage. So yeah, for me at least, awareness and access are the two big things GRID can really make a huge difference in.
Yeah, pulling down barriers, reducing gatekeepers, making it easier for people who want to gain these skills. That's really exciting. Leilani, quick story about Leilani being the executive director. We were kind of talking about who should take on this role, and I already had her in my mind, but I didn't want to bring it up because she's already busy enough, anybody who knows our life. And so she sent me this email that was as long as my arm with reasons why she thought that this would work for her and why she was excited about it. So just share some of those reasons, Leilani, because of course I was super pumped that you wanted to do it and never thought you would be able to find the time. And I don't think there's any, from my perspective, anybody who I'd rather have in the position. But just give us your heart for it.
Yeah, the first Grit Lab camp that we hosted at Kalos. I took the kids there, and I was going to observe and also just volunteer for wherever I could help. I hadn't set it up a whole lot because you guys had hired somebody for that. And when I was at the camp, when I get there in like at an event in the space, I just get so excited about all the workings, everything happening, seeing everything come together. And of course, the kids are just like super cool to me. Just watching kids, kind of like what Bryan was saying, when you walk that AHR floor with these college kids and you just see their eyes light up. It resonates so much with me because at this camp and in my daily life and in the community and stuff, you see that with kids, and I just want to be a part of that. And at Kalos and with Grit, I just realized as I was observing that I think this is something, because I had heard through the grapevine that you were struggling a little bit with the current hire of just like engaging a lot. And I saw that in firsthand is just, she was very disconnected. There's a disconnect, and I feel very connected to how this needs to happen, and what we are excited about and what message needs to be shared across the country, the awareness part of it. And so I went home after the camp, just like loved it. We had a great time. And that's when I wrote Bryan the email, and I just said, I feel like I can fit this in because I'm passionate about it. And if I'm passionate about it, I'll make it happen. And I've always wanted to sort of work with Bryan in a way that was, I've always been able to dabble in stuff and events and such, but in a way that does really progress the trades forward and gives to the community, gives to underserved communities. I feel like I have a lot of compassion for people that don't have the access, that don't know where to turn. And I feel like we're pretty lucky that we know people, or we've just had in our mindset, you just go and get it. You don't have to follow the crowds, but there's so many kids that They just need to be given a little bit of good advice and that allowance to do something out of the ordinary or out of the box thinking. And so I want to do that. And Grit is a really good platform for that. And also be able to participate in things with my kids being able to also have access and see what there is in the opportunities with Grit.
Yeah. A few people have mentioned in the comments here that I was really quiet, and it's just because I'm a soft-spoken person. That's the real reason why. But to your point, Leilani, I mean, so much of what of our life experience has been raising kids, right? I mean, it's a huge part of what we've done. And one of the things that we were both very blessed with, and certainly not by our own doing, was being around, led by, raised by, influenced by a community of people who really encouraged us that you can do it, right? You can do this,
Right.
whatever it is you want to do. Not in like a Disney, you can fly to the moon if you want, but in a very realistic way that if you
Right.
work hard and you work towards something that you can build it. And just the realization that that is not true for a lot of kids. They
Right.
do not have those opportunities. They do not have the experience of seeing what it means to really be able to freely build and create and actually put their hands to something that then becomes a reality in the real world. That the only path is the path that maybe their guidance counselor or their influences, they may not have very much experience themselves. So, giving kids a chance to hold a torch or cut some wood or screw into something and assemble it may seem like a really silly thing in a lot of ways. But when you see that sometimes that being the first experience that they've ever had of that, and that this is really what real jobs are out there in the trades, you see that light, and it gives them that opportunity, something to kind of call back to when they're going to make those career decisions, whether they end up in the trades or not. Ty, I wanted to ask you, because obviously you've done a lot of education, a lot of different types of education. You've done education in for-profit schools. You've done education in contracting businesses. You've done education in writing and a lot of different things, a lot of different areas. So in this position with Grit, you're going to have a lot of freedom. I mean, you're going to have a lot of freedom to create and design, and you have visions. What are some things right off the bat that you're excited about, maybe doing in a way that's different than what you've done before, or what direction do you see taking this?
For starters, when the first Grit camp was being lined out, and I was volunteering in that, and when you said, "Hey, we don't want to just follow these exact instructions. We want them to be able to, experience this and be curious about what's going to happen. What size of a 2x4 do you think it really is?" And so many people just don't know that, and they just assume it's 2x4. And then, hey, we're going to have them follow a blueprint. So they follow directions in one part, but also this other part, hey, it's open to them just experiencing it. And I thought that was so refreshing because of all of the other types of education. There's like a structure. When you write, there's a structure. When you teach, there's a structure. All the structure stuff. And then here was more of a path, a guidance to help some people experience the trade and be more free. And I just had I've thought about those so many times as, and here you are doing it. And then I saw the results of all of these different size boxes and like all the different stuff, like people had rearranged them in a different way. And you saw the videos of people sawing and cutting, and there was so much stuff you had done in such a short period of time. I didn't think you were going to be able to get all that done, and you did it. And then the results were just incredible. And it put me on fire. I was just so excited. And I just can't remember being that excited about something before. And it was just like, man, this is incredible. And so I have a trillion different ideas running around. And what I really like is the idea of being able to modify and change things up, because we get so, hey, here's the path. Now everybody follow that exact same path. And I am about different ways of learning, different ways of explaining stuff. If you do something and it works, it's awesome. And then all of a sudden you have one student and it doesn't work anymore. So you have to think of a new way to do it. So to have that freedom of trying different things and see what works, I love that. I mean, that's so great because so many people learn different ways, and we have newer generations that grew up with different exposure. So like when I grew up, we would talk about automotive. Compare it to automotive and people get it. Well, nowadays people didn't grow up working on cars, so we have to think of other ways to explain it. And then the Grit Foundation, like that, the camp alone, I know we're going to be doing so much more than that, but the camp alone, that being able to just get people excited about the trade, get people being curious and learn, that Socratic method was in play. I was in love right then. I was like, this is awesome.
Yeah, Ty and I have talked a lot about a lot over the years about the Socratic method. This idea that you don't give people an answer, you discover it with them. Even if you think you know the answer, a lot of times you're surprised to find out that you really don't. Even when you walked in, assuming that you understood it all. And that's a huge part. One of the things that I'm most excited about here, because when people will first see this, okay, so some of you watching this right now are thinking, oh, well, Grit Foundation is about these camps and showing kids the trades, right, and giving them experience of the trades. It's like, yeah, that is a big part of it. That's one of the things that we're starting with. But we're structuring it in such a way that it's not as though Ty and I are going to fly all around the country and give all of these camps. Right now, there will be times when we will, and I do love teaching kids, and so I'm surely going to be hard to keep away at times. But what the real kind of meat and potatoes behind this is, there are a lot of contractors. There are a lot of people who work in wholesale. There are a lot of people across the HVAC trade and all of the other trades who really would love to be more involved in kind of building up this next generation, and would love to be more involved in teaching and kind of sharing what they've learned. But they really don't have an easy way to do that, right? Like a lot of people say, well, yeah, go to your public school and teach. But there's a very specific format of what you're allowed to do in a lot of those settings. And what we want to do is help kind of pull the cap off of that and give people a pattern to follow, sure. But like Ty said, the pattern's not the thing. The pattern is just enough to get you started so that then you can begin to do these things and really activating tradespeople to not only teach, but then once again get excited about the things that we do. Because one of the biggest barriers to advancement in the trades is that a lot of tradespeople are so beat down that at one point in time they loved it, but they don't see the joy in it anymore. They don't experience that. Allowing those people to reconnect with the joy of what we do and sharing it with people who would benefit. A lot of them are going to be kids. A lot of them won't be kids. A lot of them may be people who are maybe transitioning out of the military or other careers that are maybe getting replaced by AI or other things, and they really want to do something with their hands again. And being able to share what we have in a more structured fashion, in the sense that you at least have space for it. You have space and time for it. You're not being rushed. You're actually able to spend time doing this. That's something that I'm excited to facilitate in the Grit Foundation, which makes me want to segue to a question I have for you, Rashir, which is it's a curveball I'm going to throw at you. One of the books that you read recently was Shop Classes Soul Care. We talked about it quite a bit. I recommend
I have it right here.
Soulcraft. That's funny. And so what did you take away from that? Because that book impacted you, and it's a big part of what I think led to us deciding to do this.
Yeah, I mean, this book, Bryan recommended it. I heavily recommend it. It blew my mind. And I think it's called Shop Classes Soulcraft. And it is fascinating, right? The basic premise that was really interesting to me is, and I've always known this right from the beginning, is like people in skilled trade jobs have like 80, 90% job satisfaction. People in office jobs, it's like 40 to 50%. So the majority of people in office jobs are not happy with what they're doing, while the vast majority of people in the trades love their jobs. And this book really explains why. And it's like over time in office jobs, the rise of like managers and like consulting firms and groups like McKinsey have taken a lot of the joy and ownership out of work. So you have someone doing one task all day and someone else doing one task all day, and they're all cogs in this big machine, and everyone gets stuff done. Maybe they're productive, but no one actually feels any meaning or passion or excitement about their work. And that's awful, right? And I see that with so many of my friends, like so many members of my family. They're in these jobs that they work really, really hard and they make good money, but they're miserable. And you look at the trades, folks go in and day out, and they actually solve problems. They can do things in a logical step-by-step way, but they also can be creative, and they can take ownership and do things in the most creative way that makes sense for them. So it's just really incredible how, if you look at it, I mean, it makes me really sad for what's happened to a lot of office jobs. But it also makes it really exciting that the trades have retained, over so many years, have retained this really incredible ability to make people really happy and accomplished when they do things day to day. So I really recommend reading it. But I think one of the goals with Grit is, how do we bring back joy into people's work lives? You know, everyone, right? And whether it's letting people who are in office jobs maybe pick up, fix stuff around the house and like enjoy working with their hands, or it's like helping the next generation of kids really embrace this alternate pathway to college debt and misery in an office cubicle. This is like an alternate path, and I don't know, I'm just really just really glad to have met Bryan and Leilani and Ty, and to be building such an incredible organization with this group of people.
Yeah, thanks for that. That's and one of the things that I see, and because some people who listen to this may say, well, I know tradespeople who aren't happy with their jobs, or my grandfather was a tradesperson and they used to physically abuse him in the sense that like throwing wrenches and like expecting unrealistic things and working all crazy hours and all that stuff. Look, there was an exploitative part of a lot of work, physical work. And a lot of that had to do with the fact that it wasn't honored, at least for a period of time. There was a period of time in America and in kind of the industrialized world where people who actually could solve problems with their hands and tools and all that really were honored. And in fact, kind of the first generation of engineers that came out of the Industrial Revolution and everything else were really people who had already done things with their hands and then went back to college to learn the math and the science behind it, and then they kind of designed it. Well, that's not how it works anymore. How it works now is if you go to engineering school or whatever school you go to, you likely sit behind a desk and work in software all day long. And we just weren't built for that. There's this very real biological, and that's why it's the soul is in that book, this idea of it's not good for the soul to just do rinse and repeat work all day, every day, sitting in a chair. What's good for the soul is to have variety and creativity and be able to build things. And sure, there is some parts of it that are unpleasant. Anybody who works in the trades knows that, right now, if you're working in, Tallahassee, Florida with 8 inches of snow, I mean, can you believe it? 8 inches of snow? I'm sure none of you have to deal with anything like that. It's not pleasant working in those sorts of conditions or when it's 100 degrees outside, but you're still doing something that you love. Doesn't mean you love every day or love every circumstance, but you're doing work that you care about and that you feel good about completing. And that's a very different thing. It's also good for us to do hard things. What is that in what's that in your boot there, Ty?
I just say it's good for the soul.
That's good. All right. All right, that was a grandpa joke. So that is
I'm
allowed,
a grandpa now,
nowadays.
so.
That is allowed nowadays. All right. Well, I want to go back. I want to go back to you, Ty, and kind of ask a broader question, which is, when we think of trades education as it currently exists, and this is not a knock. We're not here to knock anybody. We're not here to, like I always say, I'm not bashing college. Sure, I've got my issues with it, but I'm here to talk about what I think is actually important. But what are some things that you see fundamentally with trades education? You've already touched on it a little bit, but fundamentally that needs to change. And specifically, I think you and I and a lot of us agree, needs to change in order to get people working faster. Need to get people, because most people have to earn money. They have to earn a living. So what are your thoughts about that?
So I've been in that side because I got an education because I wanted to help make a difference. I saw firsthand people coming out of school. They spent all this money, all this time learning, and they couldn't do basic stuff. I remember I had a guy that the graduate, and I said, hey, go hook the gauges up. I came back around, and he had taken the whole unit apart. He's like, where do the gauges go? I was like, go sit in the truck. It was like, I was just shocking of how people didn't know what they needed to know. I spent all this money because I didn't go to trade school. I learned on my own. So I was like, look, and I just kept seeing it over and over, state after state after state. And so I was like, I need to go in and make a difference. So I put myself in the trades. I was going to change education. I was so gung-ho. And then I realized, it's not meant to be changed. It's a system, and you follow these processes, and you bring people in, and you dump people out. And that was it. And then now, not all for-profit. There's a lot of for-profit schools. It's a money-making machine. Their whole goal is to get as many people signed up as possible. They have admissions policies that they ask questions to find out about their life, and then they shine a light on how horrible their life is. And then the only way you can fix it is getting in and signing into this program. And then the only way they signed people up was what was the next class they needed to fill up. Oh, we got to fill up automotive. We got to fill up electrical. We got to fill up HVAC. And nothing was about helping people actually get into a job they're going to like. It was all about getting their numbers. And I don't blame them. They're paycheck depended on getting those classes full. And then you had the instructors, and their job was to make sure everybody passed no matter what. And then you had admissions reps, hey, get them a job for a day so we can write them off. And then that was the system. And ultimately, I got to help a lot of people, but I just felt like I was also part of the problem too. And it was really frustrating, and it really weighed on me heavily. And I know a lot of people have gone into education wanting to make the same difference, and then they see that same struggle. And there's some great instructors, there's some great schools out there. I'm not picking anybody in particular. It's just the fact of it's a problem. And then the other part of that is if you get people in, you sign them up for a student loan, and then you get them through the program, and whether it's 2 years or so many months, they're trying to remember all of this. They're going to work doing something completely different. And then at the end, they graduate and they're supposed to remember all of this stuff that they talked about on their first day of the job. Like, oh, do you remember the wiring schematics? Do you remember this formula? Do you remember subcooling? Do you remember? No, they even the best instructors out there in the best schools, you can't remember 2 years worth of everything and then all of a sudden jump in and apply it. So I like the idea of people working and learning as they work. I like the idea of apprenticeship programs. And, you know, a lot of people, when you say apprenticeships, they say, well, it's only union. Well, there's other options. And I've got to see people that have done apprenticeships third party that also didn't do a good job. So, you know, like there's not like a one single answer that solves everything. Like there's multiple paths that need to be there. But I want to make sure that we have a path to get people in to where it doesn't rely on somebody getting a paycheck that relies on them having a $20,000 debt. You know, that somebody has to get you in the seat and that they're going to actually have skills. So maybe somebody doesn't like air conditioning. What if we got them in enough to where they could try it out and be like, hey, look, this isn't for me. I like electrician or plumbing or automotive or something else better. Let's get people doing something that they enjoy doing. And if we find out that a lot of these people are like, hey, I don't like air conditioning anymore, then maybe we have to say, hey, let's make some changes with air conditioning to make it more, you know, inviting. I love the trades. I love people working with their hands. I don't care if it's only HVAC, just let's get people into the trade. Let's keep them as on the lower part of debt. They're going to be in debt. We got to buy tools. We're going to be in debt regardless. But let's reduce that barrier. Let's let people try it out before they get sunk in this debt. And let's help people and let's help the trades also. Like it's a win-win-win situation.
Yeah, one of the things that's proven in psychology is that we like things that we can see ourselves being good at. And that's something that's hard to sometimes overstate because it is so important. If you have a kid who can throw a ball really far away, then he's going to like to throw balls. You know, like that's a thing. And if you have a dad who teaches him how to, you know, okay, this is how you do it, and he feels good at it, he's much more likely to enjoy that activity. People continue to reaffirm that. What happens often in the traditional educational environment is we just push information after information, and we don't give people a chance to succeed. We don't give people a chance to have agency. I love the word agency. Individual control, freedom, liberty, and over themselves and their ability to make decisions. And when you show somebody that they can be good at something and really be good at it, they can make a living doing it, and they can apply their hands to something. And then they can start to stack bricks in their career. They can start to level up. I like that Leilani has a brick wall behind her because it's a good metaphor for what everybody does, right? You start and you lay down a layer of bricks, and you're like, you know what, I can do this. And then you keep stacking. And that's the mistake I think we make really often in trades education is that we treat it like other forms of higher education, and it really isn't the same thing. People need a chance to put their hand to something. They need a chance to see how it works on the inside. It's so important that they have the opportunity to do that, and that's a big thing that we want to do in Grit. And again, just to restate, we're not throwing shade. We're not taking anything from anybody. We just want to continue to build. It's a foundation. This is a nonprofit. We're not here to make money with this. We're here to lift people up, for sure. Leilani, if you could speak to that, like, how do you think, because we're talking a lot about the individual, and that's a huge part. Like, I'm not big into workforce development or, you know, Ty and I have talked about, we don't like words like human resources. You know, people aren't a workforce. They're not a resource. They're an individual, and that's what we care about. But we do also care about communities. We do care about our society as a whole. We care about our country. What do you think Grit can do, Leilani, to support tradespeople, but also to support our communities, families, kind of that broader sense?
Well, I think these things start with one layer at a time, and I think the more in a community when there's young people that are are content or fulfilled, and that spreads to their circle of friends, that the conversation is had with their high school friends or with their college, that age group, the just being content to, instead of always looking outward, kind of pressing, like looking inward and saying, what can I do to offer something to the world? And I don't think, like, that is not something we think of, like, we don't think like that as much anymore. I think right now that we absorb information from, like, we're in a society right now where information overload. So we take. And I think when young people can stop and look inward to say, what can I do? What do I like that can help others? And maybe not in like a super mature and deep way, when you're 18, you don't really care, but it's like, how can I help pay my own rent? How can I be self-sufficient? And that is, I see in young people, when you have that, when you feel capable and when you can do that, you have already, like, passed years of experience, like years and age of what somebody else may, when you just like, I'm not worried. I can do this. I can fix something. Therefore, I can go out and get a job, and I can pay rent and buy my own car and raise a family. And they don't have to be like 40 years old and $50,000 in debt, where they're going to feel stuck forever. But I think that sort of domino effect of young people starting to have that confidence and that desire to really put something out there, to, instead of just take and read and absorb, it's time for them to do and to step up. And I think that's that's going to help individuals. It's going to help their families. It's going to help their communities. And that's just going to spread across. And to the point, like, there is such a shortage of this type of work that so many of us aren't even realizing that if we don't make some changes, what that will look like in 10 years. And so I think there's a real strong call to, like, this is urgent in a sense of just our sustainability as we know life to be. And I think giving that sense of importance to parents of kids and kids themselves, and even to grandparents, and like those generations of, like, hey, if your grandson or your son or your daughter wants to go into the trades, like, to respect that is respectable. That's admirable. Being a craftsman, in that craft, they can become so good at that. And I think there's that pride that needs to sort of be given to young people from older people as well. And I think that we can offer that. And so that is how I think grit, that's what we believe, and that's what we're going to be. That's what we're going to do. And that's what we're going to be having conversations about.
Yeah, it triggered a thought. I always end up quoting podcasts, so I'm sorry. And one of the podcasts that I listen to most is a podcast called Hidden Brain, which I love. And the one I was listening to today is about this idea that, like, a lot of young people today feel this sense of despair. They go to college, they learn about the environment and the horrible disaster that's headed our way, and they are basically told there's almost nothing you can do about it, right? And they begin to believe that, and there's all these, like, horrible outcomes. I mean, there's literally young people in not insignificant number who are committing suicide because they don't see anything in the future that they can do. And that's the exact opposite of what happens when somebody's like, hey, you can pay your rent, you can afford a house,
Right.
You can serve your community, you can help your parents fix their dryer, you can help your neighbor fix their air conditioner, you can help your brother fix his car, right? It gives you some control, some agency, some ability to do something good in the world. And it doesn't mean you don't still have frustrations or struggle with mental health, or all those things still happen. But I can tell you, for me, the ability to do something that helps someone, Ty and I have talked about this specifically, has gotten me out of a lot of jams mentally and emotionally. And that's a real gift that we can give to the upcoming generation. to have that as a tool in your toolbox, literally a tool in your toolbox, right? Where you can not only help your fellow man, give them kind of a physical demonstration of care, which is good for everybody, but also it's a way out of this sort of spiral of self-focus and self-pity and despair that can easily come in the modern world. And so I think it's a solution to a lot of pretty big problems, doing work together that matters, that you can stand back from and look at and say, look what I did, right? We all say that in the trade. One of the most common things that people say in the HVAC trade specifically that they love about it when asked is it's something different every day. That's a phrase that almost without talking to each other necessarily even about it, that tradespeople will say. It's something different every day. And what are they really saying? What does that variety represent? It represents that individuality. It's not just variety. Variety is nice, but variety represents individuality. It represents agency. It represents independence, and that's a gift that I think we can give to one another, and we can give to young people coming up. That I'm excited for Grit to continue to do in all the different possible ways we can do that. Rashir, I wanted to ask you, because we're getting some questions about like, all right, well, what can we do though? Like, so you're sharing a lot of big ideas, but like, what are some of the specifics? And you like to get down to the specifics. So talk about that a little bit. What are we actually really wanting people to do? What are some things that you're excited about us really doing in the near future?
Well, first and foremost, if you're interested in any way, like sign up on our website, send us an email. We'll get you added to a list so we can keep updating you about things we're doing. And, you know, as we evolve, so many things are going to change. So absolutely, we love anyone who wants to help. We need millions of people to actually make this all a reality. More tangibly, I think to get started, we're looking for more folks who want to host Grit camps all over the country. So if you work at a contractor, if you own a contractor, if you work at a trade school or own a trade school, if you have any facility anywhere in the country where you could host one of these camps, we want to talk to you. We're looking at doing over 100 over the next year. We're really excited and looking to get this out there. And so if you have any connection to a place to host, please let us know. Number two, if you're an instructor or someone passionate about the trades in any way, we're building a network of instructors all over the country who can help facilitate these camps. And then eventually a bunch of other initiatives that we're going to launch that are similar, focused on maybe folks that are older, folks trying to reskill or get into the trade at a later age. A lot of really cool ideas in the future, but we're going to first build that network of folks who want to teach and want to contribute. And even if you had no previous experience, you know, we have two of the best teachers in the industry right here. And I think one of the initiatives we want to focus on is even helping folks, helping folks learn how to be instructors as well and build that muscle and that skill. If you work for a manufacturer, or if you're in any way interested in what we're doing, we're looking for donations, right? And so this is both monetary, but also if there's equipment or space or any other way, maybe free airtime on one of your channels or a newsletter, anything you can do to help spread the word. We're doing something pretty incredible, and we need everyone along for the ride. And so those are some of the big areas. But if there's any other ways you think you can help, please reach out. Like, we always need and want more people who care about this mission, and you get to hang out with us. So.
Yeah, one of the things I want to add is for the folks on Ty and I's channels, which is where this is going out to, so it makes sense that you would kind of know us. You're used to us. You know what we do. Obviously, we're super excited about the trade. But Rashir and Leilani are probably going to be new to all of you, and this really does round out a dream team. I mean, from my perspective, we all have independent skills. Rashir has this amazing background in educational technology. SkillCat continues to grow. It's a really great platform. But what we're doing here, because a lot of people will ask, well, what's in it for you? Like, what's in it for Rashir? What's in it for Leilani? What's in it for Ty? The reality is that this is about giving. I mean, it fundamentally is. This is not going away. We're going to do this for the long haul. This is something I'm committed to, and I'm willing to say right now, we're going to probably do a lot of different things over the next 20 years. But the commitment is fundamentally the things that we talked about here, these big picture things. The youth camps are something that we chose as this first thing we're going to do because it's just so awesome. And the results are so apparent and so quick, and everybody can kind of understand it. But there's these much bigger ideas that represents that I don't want you guys to all lose sight of. Everybody who's watching this, you get it. You get what we're saying here. A lot of people don't get it. A lot of people, for example, Wall Street Journal had this piece kind of talking about the what is it, the modern day millionaires, right? The new millionaire class, I think is what it was. And they really focused on, oh, look, there's all these residential service business owners who are getting really rich. Okay, so now there's this big light shown on that. Well, Ty, let me ask you, is that what we're talking about here?
No.
Why isn't that what we're talking about here, Ty?
Because we're talking about, oh my gosh. Let
Sorry.
me try to figure out a way to talk about trigger words. Private equity. Anyways. No, we're talking about where you love what you do, helping people be successful in the trade and also building the trade up. We're not talking about, sales numbers or selling products or just making more money. I mean, Wall Street's great at that, right? There's lots of other careers that are great with that. We're talking about if somebody calls us because they need something repaired, they expect somebody with the skills and the knowledge to be able to do that repair or attempt to do that repair. So when they're calling people out to do repair, they want that repair done. They're not calling for a salesman to come out. And if they do, that's great. We'll send them a salesperson. That's legit. But when they call somebody to do the hands-on repair, they expect somebody to be skilled for that. So we need to send people out that's skilled for that, whether it's electrical or HVAC or, so many of the other trades. That's what keeps the country going. That's what keeps everything happening. And technology is growing. There's more technical advancements now than I ever dreamed of when I was getting into the trade. So we need more people with the skills to be able to do that. So eventually you're going to end up selling more and more stuff, and somebody's at some point in time has got to fix it. So sales is at the top of the conversation right now, but eventually we're going to have to go right back into who's going to fix all this stuff. We can't keep buying another $20,000 unit every 6 years. Somebody's got to fix it. And it just feels so good when you're able to go out and solve problems. And even if you're surrounded by salespeople, that you can go out and you're the person that was able to fix it. When they didn't have any other options, they didn't have the means to get a new system, and you're able to take care of them and fix it. That's huge. It makes you feel good. You helped them out. It's so great. And then you go to the next call and you want to do more good. But also to be paid a good wage for the skills that we have. Not having to sell something to make a wage that hey, they call us out to fix something, they expect to be able to pay for that. So we want not only, in the trades world, but we want everybody to see skilled trades as a resource, as a valuable skill. Just like if I have a legal issue, I'm going to call a lawyer. If I have a medical issue, I go talk to my doctor. If I need somebody, to fix my air conditioner, I want a skilled, knowledgeable person to do that. Or the heater, or the furnace, or the electrical system, the plumbing system. And there's so much that goes into plumbing. Like septic alone in the last year, for some reason, I've been learning about septic systems. It's just fascinating how much science goes into a septic system. I had no clue. I'm telling people about septic systems, and I have one. That's my whole experience with it. But it's so great when we know these professionals. And I had to call somebody out to fix our system. And these guys came out and they were kind of grumpy at first. And I was just like, hey guys, I'm so glad you're here to fix this problem because I can't do this. And I was bringing them water, talking to them, asking them questions. At the end, they were super stoked when they left. I was like, hey, thanks for being a good customer. Everybody should be like that. Respect the people that come out. So I'm so excited to be a part of Grit doing this because I've tried to do it myself. The whole reason I started my channel was Love to HVAC, to get people excited about learning and give people more paths to learning. But I can't do stuff by myself. I have lots of ideas. I have energy to do stuff, but I need to work with other people. And I know Leilani. I've worked with CEOs before, so when we're talking about CEOs, I get super nervous. Hey, we're gonna have Leilani right. Awesome. I've seen her heart, how she cares for people. I've seen her firsthand. It shows when there's 1,000 things happening and everything's going wrong all at once. She's like, oh, we're going to do this. We're going to do that. We're going to do this. Hey, you go take care of that. That is a talent that I do not have, that I need somebody that I can work with like that. She calls me hey, I need this. I'm boom. Cool. I'm doing it. I'm so excited to work with her. I've seen the talent. Bryan, he's we get along in so many levels, and we can argue about stuff. We still be friends about, we're on the same page. And then I've just recently got to know Rashir. What I like about it, when I've got to talk to him, you think New York, California, I'm like, oh, okay. And then you get to talk to him like he really wants to help solve problems and fix stuff. And the fact that he came up with an app to be able to get people information, I've been pushing for that for so long. And I think that's a huge missing piece because people don't have computers now. A lot of people, they have this. How can we reach people where they are? Okay, they're here. That's a big part of that. How can we get people excited, not after they've already done 15 other jobs? Hey, let's get them excited while they're still in school. Before they go and do everything else, hey, here's a possibility for your life. Or people that are stuck where they're at, like they're stuck where they need to be. How can we help you get to that next level? I mean, if you guys haven't read the Unconformed book, best book I've read. Second best book. There's one best book, but second best book I've read. It's incredible. And a lot of this about grit just goes back to, if you've read that book, you understand the passion behind that. And oh my gosh, I'm sorry, I'm getting carried away. To me, this is like the most exciting thing that I've ever done, to be a part of this. I'm all chips in, all in, so excited to be able to be a part of this and help other people and help the trade. Like, I'm just gonna keep rambling. You better take over.
All right. Hey, look, I'll take it. I mean, you're buttering me up, so I feel good. All right, so we're going to end with one takeaway that you want people to know who watch this. One thing that's burning a hole in your soul. We'll start with you, Richard.
Get involved, right? So I think we're trying to do something really incredible here, and we're starting with these camps. We want to eventually build an entirely new way for folks to get hands-on experience and break into the trades. Even if they don't have time to go to a 2-year institution, we have really ambitious goals. They're going to help our entire trade. They're going to help the country. So please get involved. If there's anything about this that sounds interesting to you in any way, reach out. Like, send us a message, go to our website, email any of us, and reach out. Like, this is really an opportunity to help millions of people, and we're all so passionate about this. We just need more people to join. So if any of this resonated at all, please join us and help out in some way.
I think for me, in your circles, elevate the trades. Talk about it in a way that you're proud of the work. You're proud of what it takes. You would be proud of your own child choosing the trades. You're in it yourself, so obviously there's something about it that resonates with you, and share that in a way that's positive and does really give people a sense of desire to do it, to respect the trades and elevate them in a way that, not in some fake way, because it is hard work. I know what this takes. This is not easy stuff, but it's respectable and it's cool. Like, smart people are in the trades. And so talk about it more that way, to your parents and to your children and to friends in a way, and don't be embarrassed of it. Don't be ashamed of the trades. Be unashamed.
Awesome. Ty?
First, we need everybody's help. This is a team effort. This is a village, an environment that we have for the trades. Most of us here enjoy the trades on some level. So we're going to need your help at some level. But there's 3 things. One is that you yourself never stop learning. You got to keep learning. Because once you get to the stage where you're not learning something new, you get stagnant, you get bitter, and it just it doesn't help. So keep learning yourself. Number 2, help other people when you can, whether it's helping somebody else learn, or sometimes it's just simply holding a door open for somebody can change somebody's. Smiling at somebody who's having a bad day or has a like somebody that's a cashier having some of those people really struggle. Just smiling and say, hey, hope you have a really good day. Simple things like that help other people. And if you can, help other people learn. I had a lot of gatekeeping in my life, helping other people. So you're learning and then you're helping other people. And those are the 2 biggest ones. There's a third one. Never stop learning, help other people out. I can't remember what the third one was. Help us.
Yeah. And I want to kind of end with that because, look, there's a lot of foundations out there. There's a lot of 501c3s out there. We're in applied status for a 501c3 right now, so we've applied for that. We don't want to just be another one in the noise. Sure, we are going to be collecting money, but the reason why we're doing it is because we know that we're going to spend it on the things that we're talking about here. And the way you can also know that is because the fact that we're able to do this right now is because all of the funds to start this came from Rashir and I. We're putting our money where our mouth is. We don't want anything in return other than all of you doing your little part to help this mission. And so for some of you, those resources are going to be able to be money, and maybe you don't have the time or the ability to do other things, and that's great. We don't even have a way to take your money right this second, but we will soon. Just be open to that, open to putting your resources, putting your time, putting your efforts, putting your positivity, your energy towards using what we have, using this gift, doing what we can with what we have, and not trying to solve all the world's problems. We can't do that, but we're in the trades. And in the trades, we now have this amazing power to do good in society. There is this light. I kind of didn't finish the idea there, but there's this light being shined in the trades right now. They just don't get it because they just want to, they're like, oh, you can make a lot of money in the trades. And it's like, rather than being bitter, let's use that. Let's use that light to say, sure, you can make a lot of money in the trades. Sure, you can do that. But that's not really what we're excited about, is it? That's not really what has us here, is it? There will be some people here for that reason, but you'll spot them pretty quick, right? That's not to say they're necessarily bad people, but we know what the love of money does, right? There's this thing that we believe in that's much bigger than that, and it really is about our neighbor. It's about loving our neighbor well. It's about serving our communities. It's about caring about our kids, caring about the environment, caring about how we build buildings, caring about people who don't have the same privileges that we have, caring about people who are from underrepresented communities who maybe don't have access to the education that we had. But for some of us, we had to fight our way up, and we wished that there was somebody who gave us a hand up. Well, be that person then. Even if you didn't get it from somebody else, be the one to give that hand up. And this is a way for us to do that. So we're going to keep doing that. We're going to keep doing it in a lot of different ways. We got the camps. We got a great team. It's going to keep growing. Thank you all for taking the time to be here, Rashir, Leilani, Ty, and everybody who watched. Stay tuned. Go to thegritfoundation.com. I got that ticker up really fast. Did you guys see that? I figured out how to do that on sign.
Yeah, that was great.
I was like, hey, we didn't have the website, but we figured out it's technology, man. It's awesome.
Yeah.
So go to the website. Sign up on the contact form just so we have your information. Like I said, the emails are really easy. You know, it's ty@thegritfoundation.com. It's leilani@thegritfoundation.com. I don't have a Grit Foundation email yet, but you already know my email, so I'm easy to get a hold of. Rashir's easy to find. LinkedIn is the place to find Rashir. He's really easy to get a hold of. I probably won't reply to your emails because I'm really bad at ghosting people, but I have good reasons for that. It doesn't mean I don't love you. I really do. I'll probably forward it to one of these guys to help with. But yeah, thank you all so much for doing this, and I'm super, super excited. That's the end. You guys are supposed to say something so that I know it's okay.
All right. Thank you, everyone. This has been awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. That's what I was looking for. All right.